The smartest way to handle toxic people isn't to fight every battle, prove every point, or try to change every mind. It's about learning to spot who they really are before they take hold of your emotions, your confidence, and your peace. Most people lose to toxic individuals long before any argument even starts, simply because they miss the warning signs hiding behind charm, manipulation, and fake kindness. The moment you learn to notice these patterns, you stop being an easy target and start guarding your own power. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming toxic people always show themselves right away. They expect manipulation to look obvious, thinking it will show up as anger, insults, or open hostility. But human nature rarely works that simply. Genuinely toxic people usually understand that trust is far easier to earn than control is to seize. That's why they rarely lead with their worst side. Instead, they carefully build an image that makes you drop your guard. They might come across as supportive, generous, confident, or truly interested in your life. At first, everything feels completely normal. This is exactly why so many smart people end up trapped. They judge others based on first impressions instead of watching consistent behavior over time. Robert Greene often teaches that actions always expose what words try to hide. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can say they care about your success. Anyone can sound kind when it benefits them, but character isn't measured in comfortable moments. Character shows itself through repeated choices made over time. Toxic people eventually reveal themselves through patterns that become impossible to overlook. They criticize far more than they encourage. They stir up unnecessary drama and then act like the victim. They shift blame the moment they're confronted. They make you feel guilty for setting healthy boundaries. They cheer your failures more quietly than they ever cheer your wins. None of these behaviors may seem alarming on their own, but together they build a pattern that slowly chips away at your confidence if you keep ignoring it. Think about how manipulation usually starts. It rarely begins with something dramatic. Instead, it builds through small emotional compromises. A toxic person might make sarcastic remarks and call them jokes. They might brush off your feelings and tell you that you're overreacting. They might constantly compare you to others while pretending it's meant to motivate you. They might cross your boundaries, then get offended when you push back to protect yourself. Every time you let these behaviors slide without addressing them, you quietly teach yourself that disrespect is something to tolerate. Over time, what once felt unacceptable starts to feel normal, and that's exactly how toxic influence takes root and grows stronger. One of the most dangerous effects of toxic people is how they slowly reshape the way you see yourself. Instead of questioning their behavior, you start questioning your own judgment. You wonder if you're asking for too much. You wonder if you're being too sensitive. You wonder if the problem is somehow you. This kind of psychological confusion isn't an accident. Many toxic people survive by making others doubt themselves. A person who no longer trusts their own instincts becomes much easier to control because they keep looking to someone else for reassurance. Strong-minded people refuse to give up that kind of control. They understand that awareness is one of the most powerful forms of self-protection. Instead of getting emotionally attached too fast, they watch and observe. They pay attention to how someone behaves when they're frustrated, how they treat people who have nothing to offer them, and whether their actions stay consistent even when no one's watching. They know that real integrity doesn't shift depending on the situation. Someone who repeatedly causes conflict, spreads negativity, dodges responsibility, or constantly drains your emotional energy is showing you their true character through their actions, not their words. Another important lesson is understanding the difference between a difficult person and a toxic person. Every human being has flaws. Everyone deals with stress, failure, and emotional struggles at some point. A difficult person might make mistakes, but they're willing to learn, apologize, and grow. A toxic person, on the other hand, repeatedly avoids responsibility while expecting everyone around them to adjust to their behavior. They keep repeating the same destructive patterns because those patterns work in their favor. Once you understand this difference, you stop wasting your energy trying to fix people who never intended to change in the first place. This doesn't mean you should become suspicious of everyone you meet. Life still requires trust, compassion, and meaningful connection, but wisdom requires balance too. You can stay kind without being naive. You can stay compassionate without overlooking repeated disrespect. You can give people chances while still recognizing when their consistent behavior has already given you your answer. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect. Every moment spent under a toxic person's influence is a moment you could have spent becoming stronger, wiser, and more emotionally free. The truth is simple. Toxic people only gain power when you fail to recognize them soon enough. The moment you stop judging people by their promises and start judging them by their patterns, everything shifts. You start making better decisions, building healthier relationships, and protecting your confidence before manipulation ever gets the chance to take hold. Awareness isn't about living in fear of people. It's about refusing to ignore the evidence that's already right in front of you. And once you learn to spot toxic people before they shape your thinking, the next step is learning how to control your own emotions. Because no toxic person can dominate someone who refuses to give up their inner peace. Recognizing toxic people is only the first step. Awareness keeps you from walking blindly into manipulation, but recognition alone won't keep you safe. The smartest way to deal with toxic people is making sure they never take control of your emotions. This is where so many people lose their power. They correctly spot toxic behavior, yet they still let that behavior shape their mood, their decisions, and their peace of mind. The moment someone can consistently control how you feel, they hold power over your life. Whether you realize it or not, real strength isn't found in controlling toxic people. It's found in refusing to let them control you. Robert Greene often points out that those who master themselves become far harder to manipulate than those who constantly react to everything around them. Toxic people understand this principle, even if they never say it out loud. They know the easiest person to manipulate is the one who reacts emotionally to every criticism, every insult, every rejection, and every bit of disrespect. That's why they often create situations meant to provoke you. Sometimes they use anger, sometimes guilt, and sometimes they go silent just to make you anxious. The method changes, but the goal stays the same. They want your emotions to become predictable, because predictable emotions are easier to control. Think about how easily one negative comment can take over your entire day. You might receive 10 compliments and just one criticism, yet your mind keeps drifting back to that single criticism. Toxic people understand this tendency in human nature well. They know emotional discomfort grabs attention far more powerfully than emotional comfort does. Because of this, they deliberately stir up confusion, conflict, or insecurity, hoping you'll burn your energy trying to win their approval or defend yourself. Before long, you're no longer focused on your goals, your family, or your future. You're focused on managing someone else's behavior instead. That's the exact moment your emotional freedom starts slipping away. Many people think emotional control means bottling up your feelings, but that's not true at all. Suppressed emotions always come back stronger later. Emotional mastery starts with acknowledging your feelings without letting them steer your actions. You might feel hurt when someone disrespects you. You might feel frustrated when someone spreads negativity or treats you unfairly. Those feelings are completely natural. The mistake is letting those temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. Your emotions should inform your awareness, not run your behavior. One of the most common traps toxic people set is emotional guilt. They make you feel responsible for problems they created themselves. They twist conversations until you find yourself apologizing for simply defending your own boundaries. They paint themselves as victims the moment they're faced with the consequences of their own actions. If you're not emotionally disciplined, you might spend years carrying burdens that were never yours to begin with. This is why learning to separate real responsibility from manipulation is one of the smartest moves you can make. You're responsible for your own behavior, your own words, and your own choices. You are not responsible for constantly fixing people who refuse to take responsibility for themselves. Another powerful lesson is learning to pause before you react. Toxic people often crave instant emotional reactions because those reactions expose your weak points. When you respond to every insult right away, argue over every accusation, or defend yourself against every false claim, you're unknowingly letting them control your focus. But when you build the discipline to pause, breathe, and think before you respond, everything shifts. A calm mind spots opportunities that an emotional mind simply misses. Instead of getting pulled into needless conflict, you start making choices based on wisdom instead of impulse. There's also real power in understanding that not every opinion deserves your emotional energy. Some people criticize you because they genuinely want to see you grow. Their words might sting, but they come from honesty and respect. Toxic criticism works differently. Its goal isn't improvement, it's control. It attacks your confidence rather than building your character. Emotionally mature people learn to tell the difference between helpful feedback and harmful manipulation. They take useful criticism with humility while letting go of insults that exist only to create insecurity. The strongest people aren't the ones who never feel anger, disappointment, or frustration. They're the ones who refuse to let those emotions set up permanent residence in their minds. They understand that holding on to resentment gives toxic people free rent inside their thoughts long after the conversation is over. Choosing peace doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let someone else's negativity shape your future. Every minute spent replaying toxic conversations is a minute stolen from building the life you actually want. This kind of emotional discipline also changes how toxic people treat you. People who thrive on provoking reactions tend to lose interest once they realize they can no longer shake your inner peace. They might keep up the behavior, but it stops working because your emotional stability no longer depends on their approval, their criticism, or their attention. That quiet confidence becomes your strongest shield. It can't be manipulated because it comes from within, not from what others think of you. Remember, the smartest way to handle toxic people isn't to become just as toxic. It's to become so emotionally disciplined that their attempts to control your mood simply stop working. When you master your reactions, you protect your confidence, guard your peace, and keep your attention on the life you're building instead of the chaos they try to create. And once you've learned to protect your emotions from toxic people, the next step is building firm boundaries, because emotional strength only becomes truly powerful when it's backed by the courage to decide who gets access to your life. Once you can recognize toxic people and manage your emotional reactions, there's one more lesson that decides whether your peace lasts or fades away. The smartest way to handle toxic people is to set boundaries that protect your time, your energy, and your self-respect. A lot of people think boundaries are walls meant to push others away, but that's a misunderstanding. Healthy boundaries aren't built to cut you off from people. They're built to protect you from relationships that slowly chip away at your confidence. Without boundaries, even the strongest mindset eventually wears down because constant exposure to toxic behavior drains your emotional strength over time. One of the biggest myths about kindness is the idea that being a good person means saying yes to everything. Many of us are taught that sacrifice is always noble and that saying no is selfish. Toxic people pick up on this mindset and often use it against you. They rely on guilt more than force. They expect you to rearrange your schedule, push aside your own needs, forgive repeated disrespect, and stay available no matter how they treat you. Over time, your generosity turns into something they expect rather than something they appreciate. What started as kindness slowly becomes an open invitation for exploitation. Robert Greene often points out that power is closely tied to limits. People naturally test whatever boundaries they're given. When no limits exist, many will keep taking more than they should. This isn't always because they're bad people. Sometimes it's just human nature. That's exactly why boundaries matter so much. They quietly teach people how they're allowed to treat you. Every time you consistently protect your standards, you strengthen your own self-respect. Every time you let those standards slide, you send the opposite message, that your limits can be crossed without any consequence. Think about someone who constantly disrupts your peace. They demand your attention whenever it suits them, but vanish the moment you need support. They criticize your choices, but get defensive the second you question theirs. They expect endless patience while offering very little understanding in return. If you keep accepting this behavior without setting clear limits, things rarely get better. In most cases, they get worse because people tend to repeat whatever they think they can get away with. A lack of boundaries invites repeated disrespect. One of the hardest parts of setting boundaries is accepting that not everyone will be happy about them. Toxic people often grow uncomfortable the moment you stop allowing behavior they used to benefit from. They might accuse you of changing, of becoming selfish, or of caring less than before. This reaction confuses a lot of people because they mistake pushback for proof that they're doing something wrong. In reality, it's usually the opposite. When someone only values you while you're ignoring your own needs, they're not respecting you. They're respecting the access they used to have to your time and emotional energy. This is exactly why boundaries take courage. It's easy to protect your standards when everyone agrees with them. The real test comes when saying, no risks disappointing someone. Emotionally mature people understand that a little discomfort now is sometimes necessary to protect long-term peace. They know that dodging one hard conversation today often creates years of needless frustration down the road. Instead of fearing conflict, they fear losing themselves by constantly sacrificing their values just to keep others comfortable. Healthy boundaries don't have to be loud or aggressive. They don't require endless arguments or dramatic speeches. They're communicated clearly, respectfully, and consistently. Sometimes a simple no is enough. Sometimes creating some distance is enough. Sometimes simply choosing not to engage in pointless conflict is enough. The strength of a boundary doesn't come from how loudly you state it. It comes from your willingness to enforce it consistently. A boundary without consistency quickly turns into a suggestion, and toxic people are usually quick to notice the difference. Another important truth is that boundaries protect both your relationships and your peace. Healthy people usually respect honest limits because they understand mutual respect builds stronger connections. Toxic people, on the other hand, often react badly because boundaries take away the control they used to have. That reaction becomes useful information. It shows you who appreciates you as a person and who only appreciated having unlimited access to your life. Instead of worrying that boundaries will push people away, recognize that they often reveal which relationships are actually worth keeping. There's also a deeper psychological benefit to setting clear limits. Every time you defend your boundaries, you build more trust in yourself. You prove that your feelings matter, that your time has value, and that your peace is worth protecting. This quiet confidence grows a little more with every decision you make. Instead of constantly wondering if you're asking for too much, you start to understand that respect isn't something you have to beg for. It's something you demonstrate by refusing to put up with repeated disrespect. The smartest way to deal with toxic people isn't to spend your life trying to change who they are. It's to control what you allow into your life in the first place. Boundaries shift your focus away from trying to control others and toward taking responsibility for your own choices. That shift changes everything. You stop measuring your worth by how much you can put up with and start measuring it by how well you protect your values. The result isn't isolation, it's freedom. The freedom to put your energy into people who genuinely appreciate your presence instead of constantly testing your limits. When your boundaries grow stronger than your fear of letting others down, toxic people lose one of their biggest sources of power over you. They can no longer manipulate your kindness, eat up your time, or quietly wear down your confidence because you've made one powerful decision. Your peace is no longer up for negotiation, and once your boundaries are firm enough to protect your peace, the next step is understanding why silence and distance often accomplish far more than endless arguments with people who have no real intention of changing. Once you can recognize toxic people, manage your emotions, and set strong boundaries, there's one last mistake many people still make. They believe they have to defeat toxic people through arguments, explanations, or constant confrontation. But the smartest way to handle toxic people is often the complete opposite. It means understanding that quiet and space can achieve what constant fighting never will. Not every battle is worth your attention, and not every person deserves a place in your peace. Sometimes the biggest win is simply refusing to play the game someone else is trying to pull you into. One of the clearest signs of a toxic person is that they feed off emotional reactions. They aren't always searching for solutions. More often, what they want is control. Every argument gives them a fresh chance to twist your words. Every emotional reaction gives them another opening to provoke you further. Every explanation you offer becomes another excuse for a new accusation. Before long, you realize you're no longer really talking. You're stuck in a loop that goes nowhere. This is exactly why staying quiet becomes so powerful. Silence breaks the pattern they count on. It takes away the reaction they were hoping for, and it protects your energy from being poured into conversations that were never meant to bring real understanding. Robert Greene often points out that real power belongs to those who know when to act and when to hold back. Most people assume strength always has to be loud. They believe confidence means always having the last word, winning every argument, or proving everyone else wrong. But history keeps showing us that emotionally grounded people rarely waste effort trying to convince someone who already decided not to listen. They understand that some people choose to misunderstand you on purpose because that misunderstanding gives them permission to keep behaving the way they already do. In moments like that, more talking rarely brings more clarity. It usually just opens the door to more manipulation. Think about how much time people lose defending themselves against toxic individuals. They replay old conversations over and over in their heads, type out long messages, trying to explain themselves, and keep searching for just the right words that will finally make the other person understand. But the real issue usually isn't a lack of communication. It's a lack of honest willingness to communicate. A toxic person usually hears exactly what you're saying. They simply choose to tune out the parts that would require them to take responsibility. Instead, they turn the spotlight back onto you, making you defend yourself while they avoid owning their own actions. The talking continues, but nothing actually shifts. This is why silence should never be mistaken for weakness. Silence isn't giving up, it's discipline. It's the strength to resist the urge to prove yourself to people who've already made up their minds not to value your truth. Anyone can fire back the moment emotions run high. Very few people have the patience to stay calm, watch the situation clearly, and refuse to get pulled into conflict that solves nothing. That quiet self-control often protects your peace far better than any sharp comeback ever could. Distance carries that same kind of power. So many people stay near toxic individuals because they're more afraid of being alone than of being emotionally worn down. They keep showing up in relationships, friendships, or environments that keep chipping away at their confidence, hoping things will eventually turn around. But hope without any proof behind it becomes a trap. Every single day spent inside unnecessary negativity slowly reshapes how you think, how you speak, and how you view yourself. The people you keep closest shape your habits, your mindset, and your emotional well-being. If someone keeps filling your life with conflict, criticism, manipulation, or chaos, choosing distance isn't cruelty, it's wisdom. One of the toughest lessons life teaches is accepting that you can't heal every relationship. Some people don't actually want peace because conflict is what gets them attention. Some don't want real solutions because blame is what protects their ego. Others keep repeating the same destructive patterns simply because it's worked for them for years. The smartest way to handle toxic people is realizing your job was never to fix them. Your job is to protect your own character while making sure you never become like them. The moment you let go of that impossible weight of trying to fix everyone, you start to feel a freedom that no argument could ever hand you. This doesn't mean you should avoid every hard conversation. Healthy relationships need honesty, accountability, and open communication. When two people genuinely respect one another, even uncomfortable talks can end up strengthening trust between them. But wisdom is knowing the difference between a relationship built on resolution and one that simply feeds on conflict. If someone keeps ignoring your honesty, brushing off your boundaries, and twisting every single conversation into another chance to manipulate you, arguing further almost never leads to a different result. At that point, your silence becomes a statement that your peace matters more than winning a fight you were never meant to win. There's another important truth here, one rooted in psychology. Distance gives you perspective. While you're constantly surrounded by toxic behavior, it's hard to see anything clearly. You slowly start adjusting to unhealthy patterns until they start to feel normal. But once you step back, your mind begins to settle. You start noticing just how much emotional energy you were pouring into problems that were never actually yours to carry. The chaos that used to control your everyday life starts losing its grip, simply because you're no longer standing right in the middle of it. Distance doesn't just pull you away from toxic people. It brings you back to yourself. The strongest people understand that every unnecessary argument steals time away from their purpose. Every attempt to convince a toxic person to become someone different only delays your own growth. Instead of pouring endless energy into people who refuse to change, they redirect that same energy into becoming wiser, healthier, more disciplined, and emotionally stronger. Their silence isn't empty, it's full of purpose. Their distance isn't avoidance, it's protection. They choose growth over conflict because they know their own future deserves far more attention than someone else's negativity. Remember, the smartest way to handle toxic people isn't winning every single conversation. It's becoming so emotionally steady that you no longer feel any need to step into battles that only drain your peace. When you master silence and choose distance when it's needed, you stop feeding toxic people the attention they depend on, and you start giving yourself the freedom you truly deserve. And once you understand the power of silence and distance, the next step is learning why trying to change toxic people is often the biggest mistake you can make, and why your greatest investment should always be your own growth instead. After learning how to spot toxic people, master your emotions, set firm boundaries, and use silence and distance wisely, there's one last illusion you have to let go of if you truly want lasting peace. The smartest way to deal with toxic people is to stop believing it's somehow your job to change them. This is one of the most painful lessons about human nature, because so many people genuinely believe that enough love, enough patience, or enough sacrifice can transform someone who refuses to transform themselves. Compassion is a beautiful trait, but compassion without wisdom often turns into self-destruction. You simply cannot force growth onto someone who has chosen comfort over accountability.